All right, everybody, welcome to today's webinar called When to Choose a Custom Solution versus Off-the-Shelf Software. My name is Brad White. I am the CEO of VARC Solutions, and we have a lot of experience in this particular area, so I wanted to share some of our knowledge, our wisdom, our experience, lessons learned on both sides of that decision, and also give you some recommendations too based on that experience. Like I mentioned before I hit the record button, if you should have a chat panel. You should also have a question panel during the webinar. If you have a question, feel free and put it in chat. Put it in the questions panel. I'd love to get your questions, feedback. We'll have a couple polls during the webinar as well. And one of the things that we always get asked at the very beginning of a webinar is, are we going to share the slides and are we going to share the recording? And the answer is yes. We're recording this presentation. We will also share the slides with you. We will share the presentation with you after the webinar. And then also, if you do have questions that we either don't get to during the course of the webinar today, my contact information is on the screen. Last couple of slides of the presentation, that contact information will be there again. Feel free to call us, reach out to us, let us know if you need any help with anything, and we'd be happy to help. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. So in terms of what we're going to be talking about today, I pulled up the agenda slide. We're going to be talking about 5 things. We're going to talk about factors to consider when buying business software. Okay. Number 2, potential challenges with custom software. Okay. Custom software is not always a perfect fit, and we acknowledge that. So we'll talk about some of the challenges with that. Some of the benefits of custom software. Okay. Anytime you're making a decision like this, you want to know the pros and the cons. And so we'll kind of share, again, both sides of that. Number 4 is we'll go through a couple of use case examples to kind of give you a sense for maybe helping think through that decision for you. And also, last but not least, we'll talk about the case for Quickbase as a custom development platform. A lot of people have not really heard of Quickbase, or maybe they're not aware of it. And so I always like to say that Quickbase is kind of like a less expensive version of Salesforce. It's a different platform, but it's more affordable for what I would call small to medium size or small to mid-market size businesses. So it's a perfect fit for a lot of companies. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. Let's talk about some of the factors to consider when buying business software. And again, a lot of this is coming through trial and error on our side. It's through talking with clients who are experiencing challenges or frustrations with different things. And so that's kind of where this is coming from. One of the most common problems or factors that we talk to clients about is who owns this thing. Okay, whatever software you're using, the question is who owns it. And that's an important question, because if you're buying a software solution that somebody else built, somebody else developed, somebody else owns, or licensing that software, you don't have the control. Okay, you can make requests, say, hey, I don't like this. Can you change this? But you don't have the same control that you might otherwise want. Maybe you're using a feature or capability within that product that just doesn't work very well. It doesn't work specifically for you, or maybe there's a feature that you really desperately need, but that feature is missing. Okay. Again, that is a component of, or a challenge related to, if you don't own it, you don't have that control to be able to change it or fill in those gaps when you need it. And then I think another one that I hear all the time is, what happens to requests for updates? Okay. And I'm going to use an example. VARC Solutions, we are experts in Quickbase, but we're also experts in QuickBooks. And so just imagine QuickBooks. You don't own the software. Intuit makes that software. And let's say that you really didn't like a specific feature, or it was missing a feature. Can you just call Intuit up and say, hey, can you please add this feature? What you're going to hear is, thank you for your feedback. We really appreciate that. We will put that on our, we'll share that information with our product designers, our product developers, and we'll get back to you. and then you very likely will never hear back. Okay. And again, that's just me being real. That is very typical, especially of mass consumed software programs out there. QuickBooks and Intuit is not the only one like that, right? A lot of them, a lot of software that you buy off the shelf are going to have some of those same challenges. I think another factor is, are you getting your money's worth? All right. So when we say, are you getting your money's worth? Think of it like this. You may have purchased a software program that maybe isn't, quite frankly, that expensive. And that's a good thing, right? If you can pay less for something and it meets your needs, that's fantastic. But what if you're paying for features that you don't even need? Okay. In other words, you buy the software off the shelf, you install it, you start using it, or you log into the cloud application, whatever it is, and there's one price and you're paying for it, but it has all these different things, and you're like, we don't use any of these things. Why am I paying for these things? Um, Again, that's a component, that's a factor that you need to consider. Or maybe there's capabilities within the platform or the software that you've bought that you're just living with something that's not working very well, or maybe living with the fact that there's a missing feature. Well, anytime that you've got a software that's not meeting the needs, or it's got those features that could be improved, but again, it's outside of your control, you start looking for other solutions, right? So I've got this one solution and I'm going to try to find another solution for this other problem that it doesn't do, and maybe another solution for this other problem that it doesn't do. And what you end up having is a cobbled together set of software that kind of doesn't work very well together typically, right? In other words, you're trying to get multiple things working, and as opposed to having like one cohesive, perfect system for you. Okay, so let me give you a real world example, and I'm going to just kind of say the words that are on the screen just to kind of reinforce this. But hey, my business is changing. The software manufacturer won't make any changes. I've asked, they haven't made any of the changes. Maybe that feature that you asked for is on the product roadmap. But again, that product roadmap could be months away, quarters away, years away, or quite frankly, probably never, unless there's just a whole lot of other people that need that exact same thing. I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but there just has to be a lot of people needing that feature for a software manufacturer to go build it or adapt their program. Okay. Again, if it's their system versus yours. Okay. Again, one of the real world problems that we hear about all the time is I need a software system that adapts to my needs on my schedule, and I need it now. Okay. I rarely have clients calling us up saying, I really, really want this feature, but I can wait 3 years. Okay. That's not what happens. People need it now. And quite frankly, clients want to own the solution so that they can control it. This really speaks to the problem or the consideration when it comes to buying software versus building it is, do you have control? Okay. Do you feel like you have control? Are you a slave to some other company and their priorities, right? So those are things that I think we need to consider. Okay. Let's talk about some other considerations, because I think, again, that's not the whole picture. There's a couple other things that I think are super important. If you've got software and it's doing different things for you, that's great. But what if you need to get that data out of the system and you need to maybe get it into Excel to do some charts and graphs, or maybe you've got to do, maybe you want to be doing some bulk updates or changes to the data within your system. Is that allowable? Like, can you do it or not? Some programs out there allow you to do that, some don't. So that's something that if you were about to buy a software solution for your business, those are some of the questions you should ask. Can I get my data out? How easy is it to update? Another one is, will it integrate with some other system that you use? Okay. Maybe you have an HR information system. Will this software program integrate with that? Let's say you've got a CRM system. Will this integrate? Right? So those are some great questions. Will it integrate? And then I would also suggest that you should ask, is this product that I'm buying, is it capable of being adapted? Can I scale it? Can I add custom fields? Is there any sort of customization of this thing that I can make when I run into problems? Okay. And then finally, another one again is how long does it take to get up and running? Now, this is actually a good thing about software that you just buy off the shelf, because a lot of software that you buy off the shelf, it is built ready to go, right? You buy it, you install it, you log in, and it's there. It's done. You're using it immediately. Okay. A good example would be like Asana. There's a lot of folks that use Asana for a project and task tracking system. Well, as soon as you log in, you can go create your project and you can go create your tasks. You're up and running very, very quickly. But if you're trying to, if you've got a software that is adaptable and is scalable, how long does it take to get that system up and running, customize it to your needs, all that type of decisions? Okay. Could be 2 to 3 weeks, could be 2 to 3 months. All those things are factors to consider. Okay. All right. I'm going to put up our first poll. And the question that I want to ask you guys that are in attendance here is, which of these problems have you encountered with off-the-shelf software? I'm going to pull this poll up here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the launch button. If you'll take a second, or well, actually take about 10-15 seconds here just to answer this for yourself, I would love to find out from you which of these are problems that you've encountered. Again, this is with off-the-shelf software, whether it's a Microsoft Office product, a off-the-shelf project management system, a CRM system, what have you. Go ahead and answer that, and then I'll kind of say out loud what the results are after we get another couple answers here. Let's see. And by the way, if you're not able to respond to the poll, you should be able to, but if for whatever reason you can't respond to the poll, go ahead and put an answer in the chat or the question panel, either way. So the question is, do you have these types of challenges? One is lack of control because you don't own it. Missing or insufficient features is another question. Paying for unneeded features, cobbling together those multiple systems, or possibly just not being able to integrate with other systems. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And it looks like most folks have dealt with that issue of just, I don't own it. I don't have that control that I would otherwise want to have within that software. Okay. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and keep moving on, and we'll go to the next part of our presentation. All right, so let's talk about the benefits of custom software. Okay, so again, it's the same question, but now we're flipping it around to let's say you have built a custom solution, or you've asked someone to go out and build or develop this solution for you. And the question is, who owns it? Well, if you're paying someone to go build a custom software solution for you, you own that solution. It is a work for hire, or at least it should be. Okay, so if you're paying somebody to do this, make sure and ask them, who owns this solution after I'm done paying for it and you've finished building it. Okay, I think because you own it, you get to decide what features to add. You get to decide what features are not needed, and you also get to prioritize the updates based on your needs. In other words, if you've got a list of 20 things that you want that solution to do, you don't have to let somebody else to decide what's most important. You can decide what's most important. So you get to prioritize. I think another benefit of custom software, especially if you choose a low-code platform, okay? In other words, not a platform that requires a developer to go write code, but a more of what you see as what you get sort of visual building platform, because those are easier to update. You don't have to rely on a particular developer or coding language to get it built. And quite frankly, the low code solutions, especially the ones that have come along in the last 10 years or so, they're easier to bug fix. Because again, we're not writing code, We're not sitting in a room, writing thousands and thousands of lines of code where if something doesn't work, we have to go figure out what line in the code is not working. So they're easier to bug fix. And ultimately, you have more power and control when you build that custom software yourself, okay, or have somebody build it for you. Okay. I think another benefit of custom software is that it is adaptable, okay, and supportable, or at least it should be, right? So custom solutions, think of it like this. You've built a solution, maybe you've paid somebody to go build a solution, and then 3 months later, your business changes. 6 months later, your business changes. 2 years later, your business changes. Can that solution be adapted to your changing needs? I have very, very rarely encountered a business that didn't keep changing year after year after year. There's no such thing as, I started the business, this is the way we did it, and we're always going to do it that way, and we're never going to change, right? It just doesn't exist, okay? I think also if you have qualified developers that have built the solution, it should be supportable, okay? It should be scalable, right? And most importantly, especially when you have this consideration or this question of like, how do I go out and get this custom solution? You really, really should be picking a platform that is widely supported, okay? You don't want a platform that only one person in the country knows about, where there's like 5 developers in the entire world that are super experts in this platform. That's a recipe for disaster. Instead, you want a platform that is widely supported, okay? Meaning you can go search, forums, you can, post on social media, you can ask questions, and there's probably going to be somebody out there that can help with that problem or that specific platform. So those are some considerations and benefits as well. So let's talk about some examples. So there are some businesses where off-the-shelf solutions are perfect. And by the way, if whether you are a member of my family or a friend of a family member, or I just met you in an elevator, if you ask me this question for your business, I would give you the exact same answer that I'm giving you here, which is if you're in a business that has an off-the-shelf solution that's perfect for you, I would highly recommend doing that versus building your own solution. I mean, why build your own solution if there's a perfect solution out there that's already exists, it's probably pretty affordable, and it meets all your needs? Okay, great, go for it. Okay, a good example would be, a pool chemical service provider. Okay, well, if you're a pool chemical service provider, there is a company out there that has built a perfect system for you, right? It does routing, it does monthly billing, it handles the standard business model where you're sending people out, they're doing the chemical service on the pool, they're leaving and taking a picture and all those different fun things and sending you the bill, okay? If that's what you do, there's a software solution out there, guaranteed. Now, what about roofing companies? Just as, again, these are just examples. Gus, I have some really, really good friends that are in the roofing business, and there are some programs out there that are quite frankly amazing. Okay, and quite necessary, by the way, too, in that industry. AccuLinks, Eagle View, all those things that do roof measurements, they do insurance documentations. They've got estimating built into it. They help you order materials after you've done the estimate. Those software are those industries where there's a lot of people in that industry, and there's companies that have made those off-the-shelf solutions that are perfect. Fantastic. Highly recommended. Don't even look elsewhere. Just go right for that. However, there are some challenges with almost every business that we work with. And so let's talk about that. So one of the problems, probably one of the biggest problems, is variances or exceptions to the rule. Okay. I'll give you an example. Again, I'm gonna kind of continue going through those 2 examples where there's a pool chemical or a roofing company. But again, this concept applies no matter what industry you're in. So take that same pool chemical service provider that had that off-the-shelf solution, was absolutely perfect. Okay, did routing, did billing, all the things you'd expect it to do. But then you start selling and repairing pool equipment. Well, now you need a solution that not only does the routing and all that stuff, but also has the ability to manage an inventory, right, of the pool equipment that you might have on the truck or that you might have in the warehouse. You're at the homeowner's house doing the pool chemical service, and the homeowner walks out and says, "Hey, just curious, we've got this deck over here. It's kind of falling apart. We'd love to get it redone." Or, "Hey, we'd love to take this section of our lawn and turn it into a nice patio deck patio." Or let's say just, you ran into a buddy at some conference and they're like, "Oh, hey, I'm making a ton of money on vending machines." And you're like, "Well, I want to do that too." So now you're a pool chemical service company that's selling and repairing equipment, building patio decks, selling vending machines, servicing vending machines. Okay, now does that pool chemical service software do the job anymore? And the answer is no, it doesn't. It does that one thing, but now you're looking for another solution for the decks, and another solution for the vending machines, and again, trying to get these systems to work together. Okay. Another good example in the roofing business. Again, you might have that perfect solution for roofing, but now you're at a homeowner's site and they're like, "Yeah, we've got this kitchen that really needs to get remodeled." And you're like, "Well, I can do that too." And then you start walking around the house and you're like, "Well, the gutters look like those need to get fixed. The fence probably needs to get stained, and your windows are kind of dirty. Would you like to have those washed?" And so now you're not only a roofing company, you're remodeling, you're fence staining, you're doing gutters, you're doing windows. And again, that perfect off-the-shelf solution is no longer doing the job. Okay. So let's go to the next poll. And I want to just get your feedback on this question, which is, which benefits of custom software are the most appealing to you? I'm going to launch this poll. And for those of you that, if you can't see the poll or if you can't see the answer, I will say those questions out loud so that you can see those, or so that you can at least know what we're asking you to respond to. And again, if you don't see the chat, the poll window, feel free to put your answers in the chat or the question panel. So the question here is, which benefits of custom software are the most appealing to you? Go ahead and answer on screen if you have. If you can see that. The question or the answers that I've provided are, I can adapt it as needed. Okay, I can adapt it as needed. The second was, I can manage the exceptions. Okay, I can manage the exceptions. The third is, I can prioritize updates. And then the fourth is, I can build a comprehensive solution for all of my needs. Okay. And then the last one is, I can integrate it and get the data in and out. Okay. So in other words, I can, if I'm got multiple systems, I can still integrate with other things. So I'll give you another 5-10 seconds here to make those answers, or type that in chat, and then we'll go. Got it. All right. Again, so some of the results have come in, and the overwhelming response is, I can build a custom solution for all of my needs. So that's probably the biggest benefit of building a custom solution, is I can have that comprehensive system that takes care of all of those different needs. And quite frankly, if it's 2 years down the line and your needs change, you can add, adapt, modify, etc. Perfect. Okay, thank you for those answers. Let's go ahead and go on to the next section. So one of the things that we do, okay, when we have a client that we're talking to about this type of decision, a lot of what we do is we just try to ask good questions, right? We try to help a client figure out what's going to be best for them. What are those considerations that they should be thinking about? And so I flip that around to say, here's some questions that you and your team should be asking, right? These are things that you should discuss internally, regardless of what software or problem you're trying to solve. And so let's talk about that. Let's just say, hypothetically, you're like, "Hey, I need a better CRM system, a customer relationship management system." Okay. I feel like we need a better one. Okay, great. Well, that's fine. And maybe you do. What are you currently using to solve that problem? Okay. Are you using Excel? Do you have a CRM or sales pipeline solution that you bought that you've been using for a couple of years? What are you currently using? That's the first question. What is that solution doing or not doing? Okay. Again, maybe there's feature gaps or features that maybe just don't work very well, so you don't use them. What is it doing or not doing? What frustrations are you just living with? Okay. When no matter what software, by the way, I mean, this, again, you could ask this question to any software, any system, anything out there in the world. There's probably going to be some frustrations that you're living with. There always is. I have them with our own systems, right? There's still frustrations. Hey, it's something I wish it was faster. I wish it automated that next step in the process, right? There's going to be something, but what are you just living with? Like, what are those things that you go home and you're going, oh, it's another day and it's not going to be fixed? What are those things that you're living with? Are you having to do some things in one system and then some things in another system? We see this all the time where, you've got a system that's doing one thing. It's fantastic, but you've got to get that data from there to some other place. And if there's no integration, maybe you're having to rekey, redata enter that stuff. Again, that's pretty frustrating. How much manual reentry or copying and pasting are you having to do between systems? Super important question. And then finally, what is all that costing you in terms of labor, the people to do that stuff, the opportunity cost? Like, if you had that time back, how could that time be better used within your company? And then finally, what about the inability to scale? Okay. What are the costs of not being able to scale because the software is not adaptable to your needs? Okay. So these are some great questions. And again, everybody will get a copy of these slides. So if you wanted to take whatever problem you're trying to solve and take these questions to your team, I would highly recommend that. It's good to have those kind of conversations internally so that you have a little bit of clarity on the direction you want to head in. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the decision. All right. So again, we're trying to balance this decision between custom solution or off-the-shelf solution. What's going to be best for you? Okay. And again, you could tell me I've got these 10 problems. 3 of them might be perfect for an off-the-shelf solution. The other 7 might not be. So it really depends. But the first question is, are you in a cookie cutter industry with very few or maybe no exceptions to how you do things? Like, everybody in this industry does all these things exactly the same. Okay. If so, go find a perfect fit for that industry. Okay. It's probably out there and it'll do that one thing or 2 things or 3 things that you need perfectly fine. The second solution is, if that perfect solution doesn't exist, again, our recommendation is to select a low-code platform that allows you to build a custom solution that is adaptable, that is scalable, and most importantly, adapts as your business changes. Okay. That's the most important thing. Nobody ever wants to spend, a year of their lives, 5,000, 20,000, 100,000, whatever that thing might cost, and then find out that 2 years from now, it just won't adapt to that new thing that you're doing in your business. Okay. So you definitely want to have that scalable, adaptable platform. Okay. So let's talk about some solutions within this space of custom solutions. There are some pretty good platforms out there. We've worked with and seen many of them. We've had clients that have worked with and seen many of them. And I'm going to give you kind of a little bit of a comparison chart here in a couple minutes. But the end result of what I want to talk about, though, is that, Quickbase is a very, very good platform. It's low code, it's cloud-based, it's affordable for small teams, but also scalable all the way up to super big companies. Okay. It's been in the market a long time, so it's very stable in terms of a platform. And it has what are called open APIs or connections, open API or connections to other systems. So if you're using Asana, if you're using Pipedrive, if you're using MailChimp, if you're using, all these different solutions, Quickbase can still integrate with those so that you're leveraging the best of both worlds and everything's flowing together. Okay. We as a company, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we're both QuickBase experts and QuickBooks experts. And so one of the things that a lot of our clients want is they want a solution that handles all the business process complexities in their business. But at the end of the day, they still want this stuff in the accounting, right? If you charge a client for something and you want to get that invoice into QuickBooks, you still need to be able to do that without having to manually rekey things. Okay. Here's the other thing that we really love about QuickBase as a platform is, there is no one definition of what QuickBase is. You get to decide what it is because you get to then build the solution to meet your needs. So just as an example, we definitely build a lot of CRM systems, very customized to a specific client. That could include sales pipeline management. That could be customer service ticket management, contract management, field service management, HR information systems, billing systems, inventory. I mean, we've seen lots and lots of examples. One of my favorites, quite frankly, is commission systems. You've got a very, you've got a complex way of paying your people and commissioning them based on different sales or regions or deal structures and all that other stuff. And that's something you might be trying to do in Excel. That's a perfect example of something QuickBase can automate and turn into an actual system. And it's really, really good stuff. So you can read the screen, lots of different things, but just think of it to yourself is if I've got this problem in my company, I could probably use QuickBase to build a solution for it. But again, let's do a little comparison here. There's a really good reason why we recommend QuickBase. And probably the most important two different reasons is it's pretty affordable. Okay, relatively speaking, in the market, it's very reasonably affordable. Okay, and the time and money it takes to get up to speed and implement various solutions is not excessive. It's actually very, very reasonable. Okay, so you can see on that little that color chart there. QuickBase is on the lower end of cost of ownership. It's on the higher end of speed to implement. And that's in comparison to solutions like Salesforce, like NetSuite, like SharePoint. Okay. Those are, granted, they're great solutions. They are amazing at what they do, but they're also expensive. Salesforce can easily be $50,000 to $100,000 a year. It could be $50,000 to $100,000 to develop solutions on. Same thing is true of NetSuite. And QuickBase again is relatively much more affordable and fast to get up to speed. Okay, so I use that slide just to give you an example of some of the other options that we've seen out there, but also give you a relative understanding of cost and time to implement. Okay, so I'm going to give you some retail pricing. So let's say hypothetically you're like, oh well, let me take a look at QuickBase. If you were to go to quickbase.com and start a new account, the lowest tier solution they have is what's called a Teams account. That starts out at 20 users. It's roughly $42 a user per month. Translates that into about $8,400 a year. Okay. Most of our clients are on the Teams account. You don't need the business account unless you've got at least 40 users and up. But it can scale up to thousands of users if you needed it. Okay. One of the other things that we do as a company, which it's a value to some of our smaller clients, is instead of starting at 20 users with a direct account with QuickBase, we actually have what are called small team accounts where you can get into the platform for as little as 2 users, $160 a month. 3 users and up is basically $70 a user per month. And those small team accounts are perfect if you're in that 2 to 10 user range, which quite frankly, there's a lot of small businesses out there that are in that range where 20 users is not realistic. It's not even needed. So those are some options for you. And then of course we do development on that. As of today, our current rate is $175 an hour for development. And to give you a sense of what that might look like from a project perspective, some of the smaller types of projects that we do, still good and comprehensive, but just, on the smaller scale, less intricate, maybe in that $5,000 to $10,000 range. Some of the medium-sized projects that we do are in that $10,000 to $25,000 range. And then we've had clients that are like, I've got these 30 things that I need to do, these 10 different systems that I need to build and have it all integrated together. And those are, larger, massive systems. Okay, again, that could be 25 to 100,000. It just depends. But my point is, if you look at the low end numbers on that, not too expensive to get in if you've only got a couple users. And if you've got kind of like a basic CRM in mind or just a basic workflow project management system in mind, 5 to 10,000 can probably get it done. So much, much more affordable than, again, the NetSuites and the Salesforces of the world. Okay. One of the things I do want to share is also just a testimonial. It's great to have me say all these things, or at least I think it's great to have me say all these things. But it's better when somebody else says it, right? And so we've been a partner with Quickbase for many, many years. And we asked our partner manager at Quickbase to kind of give her thoughts on who we are and why she recommends us. I'm not going to read the whole thing there, other than just to say that being knowledgeable and reliable partners on the platform is definitely there. The fact that we're ready to jump in and help no matter what the challenge is, that is another big reason. And then we always have what I like to call a solution first mindset. We're not saying that's a problem, we can't solve it. We're like, hey, how do we solve that? And then finally, we really truly care about our clients and making sure they have great systems, great outcomes, everybody up to speed and using the system and happy with it. And that is just a testimonial just to kind of share with them. All right, as we wrap up today's webinar, some of you might have questions. You might want to, if you're interested in having a follow-up conversation with us, I want to share some basic details about our company, who we are, who do we work with, and how you can engage with us. First is we've been in business since 1999, so coming up on 26 years now. We have a 17-person staff. We're based out of Houston. That's where our company is, but we have clients that we serve nationwide. We are QuickBooks and QuickBase experts. We do all sorts of things related to QuickBase, but we also do things related to QuickBooks in terms of bookkeeping, cleanups, migrations for QuickBooks, things like that. And also we're certified partners with both QuickBooks and QuickBase. We have clients sorry, one more slide there. In terms of our QuickBase capabilities, we have a 4-person certified expert team. We are one of the top 10 QuickBase solution providers in the country. We've built thousands of applications for lots and lots of different clients. And again, we work pretty much in every industry out there. There's not really an industry we don't work with if that's what you do and what you need a system for. And then last but not least, we have clients nationwide. We primarily work with small to medium-sized companies. And on the QuickBooks side, at least, ones that use QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. But our claim to fame, so to speak, is, if you're a business and you're trying to grow and you're trying to scale and you're experiencing those kind of problems, no matter what the solution is or what the problem is, we can probably help. We've got lots of solutions to solve those problems. And then last but not least, if you have questions and you want to reach out to us, the phone number is on the screen, but I'm going to say it out loud so you hear it. It's 281-412-6914. Again, 281-412-6914, but you can always email us at sales@varksolutions.com, or you can visit us at varksolutions.com. Someone from my expert solutions team will talk to you. They'll figure out what your problem is and, again, advise you on a best case solution for your needs. So that is the webinar. If anybody has questions, feel free, again, to post those in the chat panel, use the questions panel, and I'll stick around for a few minutes after we're done here to make sure that all those questions are answered. And again, we will follow up with a copy of the recording as well as the PowerPoint slides for those of you that are interested in that. Thanks again, and hope you have a good rest of your day.